Okay, today's an exciting day. Festool is launching 1, 2, 3, 4 new tools. And the first up is the brand new Toprock Bluetooth speaker. And there's a whole bunch of features that make this thing cool. First thing, it's actually a sustainer, so you can store some of your extra tools in there. It's also got a soft closed lid. The speakers and the whole system is actually inside the lid here. It's got 4 speakers in the top and 2 bass ports on the side. It's a true wireless streaming device, and it has an incredible range of up to 50 meters. So you sync up your phone, push play, and you can work anywhere up to 50 meters away, and you'll still be hearing the sound come out of it. And right here on the front, you've got one slot for your USB for charging your phone, and the other one is for the charger that comes with it. And now it takes about 3 hours to fully charge, and once fully charged will last for 10 to 12 hours during the day, so a full work day, or about a half day for those of you that are really hustling. Now the next one isn't a new tool, it's actually one of their existing tools, but upgraded. This is the T55F. Now Festool was the original inventor of the plunge cut track saw, and they've been innovating and improving on their original design ever since the beginning. And the major upgrade this time is actually the blades. The blade design, the variety of blades, and the thickness. The last model of track saw had a 2.5 millimeter blade, and they've got it down to a thin kerf 1.8 millimeter blade, which also now has a 1.8 millimeter anti-kickback riving knife on the back. And with the thinner kerf and the new tooth design, you've now got blades that cut twice as fast and last 50% longer. With a thinner kerf, you're obviously removing far less material, so then more of the power of the saw is now dedicated towards cutting through the wood instead of taking out a larger amount of wood. Now they've got 6 new blades that come with this saw. The first 3 are wood saws. The one that comes in the saw is the 42 tooth fine cut blade. You can also get a 28 tooth universal blade. Then there's a ripping blade, a laminate blade, an aluminum or plastic blade, and an abrasive material blade. And this saw comes with all the cool features you're used to seeing on the T55. Up top here we have the fast fix. You pull that up, push the blade down, it locks in place. And then right here you pull out the Allen wrench and you can change your blade. When you're all done, push the green lever back and you're back and ready to go. Back here you have variable speed control. You can cut up to a depth of 2¼ inch. And you can cut all the way up to 47 degrees or all the way down to -1 degrees on your angle cuts. Now the next new tool release are a brand new design of tracks. And now right away, the first thing that you'll notice is that it's got these 3 holes in here. And the reason for the middle hole is that it'll fit right over top of the handle of any of your containers. So it's easy to pack in and out of the job site. And you have a place to store and keep your tracks, so it's all nice and organized and out of the way. And now these next 2 holes are for these green things. And on the back side, you can peel this away and it's a piece of sticky tape. So they clip right in here, and then you can peel these off. And then if you've got either a vertical or a horizontal cut that you're trying to make, and you don't want to screw into whatever you're working on, you can just stick it on, then grab your saw, make your cut. And when you're done, pulls off, and depending on what you're sticking it to, you can reuse it to a degree. Obviously, if the wood has a whole lot of sawdust and stuff on it and you clog these up, it's not going to work. But if it's relatively clean, then you'll get a couple reuses out of them. And the last new thing to point out on these tracks is they do have these 4 countersunk holes. So if you're trying to make a cut on something that is horizontal or vertical, and you can screw into it, say a fence or something like that, then they do have countersunk little holes here where you can put like a drywall screw or something in, and then fasten it that way to make your cuts. Okay, and the last of the new tools that's launching today to show you is the Track Accessory Kit. Okay, and all this stuff is to make setting up and using your track a whole lot easier. This first piece is the angle setup piece, and it just mounts on the back of the track. So the way it works is this little deal here slides into this first slot, and then this back piece here slides through these ones, and this thing will lock it down. So you line up that first piece, start sliding it in, line up the second one, and then slide it all the way on, and then you'll pull this down, and that locks it in place. And then you'll see on the bottom side here, this piece sits below the track, so the track will sit down on top of the material, and then this will butt up against it, and that's your reference point for finding any of your angles. And then it's really easy to find any angle between 0 and 60 degrees on both sides. You just loosen that nut off right there, and you'll hear they have little indents at regular angles, 15, 22.5, 30, 45, and 60. You just find the angle that you want, tighten that down, and then when you push it up against the material that you're using, that creates the angle that you're looking for. And now let's say you're cutting some material that doesn't have a 90 degree right here and it has a radius edge, and this flat piece right here doesn't quite fit up against that radius. What they've got right here is 2 removable dogs. You can flip this over and mount the dogs in these slots right here. And now when you go flip it back over, these dogs here will come and run up against the edge of the material. Now the kit also comes with these 2 clamps, and they clamp on in 2 ways. One is out here on the outside, and you can lock the whole thing down like that. And the second is, if you flip it over, you can go all the way down to the front of your track, slide this all the way in, and there's a slot right here for this to sit into. And then when you flip it over, you can go clamp it on your board, and it doesn't get in the way of this reference point right here. And now this piece here is an extension piece, and for if you want to do repeatable cuts. And to attach it, we'll just flip the whole unit upside down, loosen off these Allen keys. You'll see a halfway line marked on them. You'll pull it out to the halfway, tighten them down. You then slide the two pieces together nice and tight, and tighten everything else back down. Now you've got an even longer reference bar that goes in the back side of your material. So let's say I had a whole bunch of repeatable cuts to make at 750 millimeters. I would just loosen this off, come along and find the 750 millimeter mark, tighten it down, and now I can set it on and butt that up against the edge of the material, and I know that that's 750 millimeters from there. And now I can go and make all the cuts that I need without having to break out a tape measure and a pencil. Okay, and another little neat thing that comes in the kit is this little deal right here. It fits on the back side of your track and tightens down like that. And then when you're using your hose and you're pulling it up across your track, instead of getting caught on the edge of the aluminum, now it has these wings that hold it in place, and it's got this nice rounded edge that allows the hose to travel back and forth on it easy without snagging. Another part of the kit are these little stoppers right here. These slide into the track right here and tighten down anywhere along the track that you want them to, and they're stoppers for any tool that you might be using. If you're using a plunge cut saw, for example, and you're trying to do a start and stop plunge cut, you can set one of them at the back where you have to start, and then you can set your second one where it's going to finish. And one of the nice things about it is, you know, if you've ever done plunge cuts before and you have to plunge into the wood, sometimes the back of the saw wants to kick up. So what they have here is a little ledge, and the back of the saw right here fits under that ledge. So you can bring your saw in, bring it back underneath that ledge, and then when you go to plunge down, this stops the saw from kicking up. Then you know exactly where you're going to start, and you can travel along until where you're going to stop and make a perfect cut, and repeatable cuts if you have to. And the same thing goes for a router setup. You can set them exactly where you need for your start and your stop, set your router in at the back, plunge in, make your cut, and finish exactly where you need to. Okay, and the very last thing to show you is the new track extension rods. Instead of having two similar ones, you actually have two different ones. One is a straightening rod and one is a stabilizing rod. And they each go into specific slots, and it says right on the rod itself which one it goes into. So this one here is the stabilizing rod. You'll put it in and tighten it down. This one here is the stiffening rod, and it's gonna go in right up to that halfway mark, and then you'll tighten it down. Now you see the design on these. What happens is when these screws go down, it spreads the bar apart so that it fits snugly inside this slot. Then you'll flip the other piece over and slide them together. And now you don't want to slide them all the way tight together, because over time as you use these and you might bump them or drop them or something like that, the edges of these might become uneven and unreliable in terms of trying to decide if these are exactly at 90 and matched up. So you're going to leave a little bit of a gap, and then you'll flip it over. And because we know that this slot is perfectly straight, this rod right here, when we tighten it down now and that bar expands out, it makes these line up perfect. So we'll tighten this one up first, and this is the straightener, and that'll make sure that these two rails are exactly in line with one another. And now we'll flip it over and we'll tighten down the stiffener. And now we know we have a perfectly straight extended track for whatever tool we're using. And you can find all these new tools and accessories in Festool dealers and online starting on March 25th. And it's once again fun to see all the cool and innovative stuff that Festool comes up with to help us do our jobs quicker and faster and with more precision.